I've woken up early this morning so I can get some work done. It's 4 a.m. here in Japan, and I'm dictating this on a walk. Obviously now I'm reading it from a screen, but I wrote this script on a walk this morning. I have a headlight on my head, and my phone is in my hand. The idea of sitting in my chair in my office to try and get some work done is really not that appealing right now. I spend a lot of time sitting in my chair, obviously, and it's a good idea for me to find ways that I can work whilst I'm moving. It's wonderful that modern technology such as speech recognition exists, isn't it? I made that point in my live stream last night when a blind person came to listen. We had a little chat about speech-to-text technology and voice recognition. I'm truly grateful for the changes and developments that have come about in the modern world. Just as I set off on my walk this morning, I thought I'd just like to do a little warm-up before I turn on the dictation. I'll just get my blood pumping and enjoy just walking first. Then I started talking to myself. The funny thing is that I talk to myself when I'm walking anyway, so I might as well spend that time scripting a rambling podcast. It's a great way to kill two birds with one stone, to get two really good things done at the same time. And I started to get really excited about what I was talking about, and then I thought, this is stupid, I should be recording this is gold. And so what I was talking about was how far phone technology has come since I bought my first mobile telephone. And in British English we call it a mobile. In America it's called a cell phone or a cell. And I got my first phone when I was 15. And it was a Nokia something, I don't know, 3310 or something. You could make a phone call and you could send a text message, and that was it, really. It was a telephone, and I think it had a game or two games on it. You could play maybe Tetris or Snake. And so when I was waiting for a bus, I would often play Snake. I didn't look at social media or look on YouTube or something like that. Those things didn't really exist at that time. Not the way that we know them now. So I would just play Snake or just sit and be bored. And so it would cost about 3p to send a text message. And there are 100 pennies in a British pound. It would cost about 3 British pence. And if it was a particularly long text message, it would cost 6p, 6p. So it's quite important to make your messages as short as possible. And the messages were being sent on the telephone network, not on the internet. So what we had to do was buy credit. So buy £5 of credit. And then hopefully that would last at least a week or a couple of weeks. And that's why today messages being sent on the internet, that they can be sent for free in a lot of cases, like using modern apps like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. And it's quite amazing how far things have come, really. So if I think back to that time when I was 15, 22 years ago, the good thing about having a phone for me was to be able to arrange going to meet my friends on a Friday night. I go to my friend's house and there was a group of 4 guys. There were 4 of us, and I felt really lucky to be friends with those 3 other guys. That was a really important time for me. We would hang out, listen to music, and be silly, generally. We'd make jokes about ourselves, about each other, because British humour is very self-deprecating, and that is a way to say that we often make jokes about ourselves. We make a joke about ourselves before making a joke about somebody else. And if you're good friends with somebody, making a joke about them, you're kind of included in that group. You're going to let them make a joke about you as well. And that's maybe it works the same in different countries as well. Maybe that's just how it works for groups of young guys making jokes about each other. But that was a very formative time. We call it a formative time. It means that time formed who I am now. It made me who I am. spending that time with those friends. And so I've also been thinking a lot recently about mental health and how to make this new lifestyle of mine sustainable for the long term. And what does that mean? Well, sustainable means that you can keep doing it. It means that you can sustain that behavior, that action, that habit for a long time. And so I decided in November 2023, and I think I mentioned it the other day in my podcast, that was my big decision to go full-time and commit to English teaching again after having worked in the tofu shop for 8 years. I'm really grateful for the time that I spent in the tofu shop. I learned a lot and was very helpful. That time was very helpful to me. I did a lot of good work, and I'm proud of lots of the things that I managed to do there. I helped to design some new equipment, and I helped to change some of the ways that we work to make it more, to make it easier to do. So less bending over, and things like that. And so I'm really proud and pleased that I did a good job there. But there were also some downsides of working there. And one of them was that I very rarely had the chance to get 8 hours of sleep at night. So after 8 years of doing that, I feel like I've been really enjoying having plenty of sleep every night, and also having the chance to help my wife and the kids with the bedtime routine of showering and going to bed, telling stories to my daughter especially. So I've had the chance to start telling stories to her. I love to lie in bed with her and make up a story, usually about princesses. And I usually put her in the story, so it's, it's usually she's meeting her favourite princess characters. And I got a little bit bored of doing that, so recently I started telling her stories about animals in the zoo. So I made up a story about an elephant that had some carrots, and a rabbit that had some grass. And the elephant didn't want to eat the carrots, really, and the rabbit didn't want to eat the grass. But there was a little mouse who went to talk to the elephant, and he went to talk to the rabbit, and he negotiated a way that they could swap their food. And she was really pleased with that. She thought it was really funny. And especially because usually at some point in a story like that, I make one of the characters do a fart or a poo, because that makes me laugh. Farting makes me happy. I'm a simple man, and a good fart makes me laugh, probably as much as anything does. So another thing that's funny is I was having a bath with my daughter the other day, and I farted in the bath, and bubbles came up, and she was delighted, and so was I. Yeah. Anyway, what was my point? So, mental health. It's very good for my mental health to be able to do that kind of thing. To be able to fart in the bath with my daughter and tell her stories about princesses at night time. And to take the kids to nursery. So, today I'm going to the nursery to watch the lesson. And as I read this, I can now tell you that I did go to the nursery today to watch their lessons, and it was really fun. And it's a day where parents can visit and have a look and see what happens day to day. And it's a chance for the kids to show off and let mum and dad know what they've been doing and what their daily routine is like at nursery. And so I feel partly guilty for not working in that time, but I have to think about how if I can live a good life that's rich and full, it's going to fill me with happiness and enthusiasm, so that when I record episodes of my podcast or do my live streaming, I actually have something to talk about. I have lots of exciting things to smile about, and so it's important that I spend that time looking after myself, being with my family, all that kind of thing. Because one of the things that I struggle with is that my business now is myself. I spend a lot of the day looking at pictures of myself and listening to myself talk and editing videos of myself talking. And that's a big change for me. My previous job was much simpler in a way. It was just to wake up early and go and work hard and then come home and relax. And when I come home, I'd be finished for the day. I could just, I don't know, play chess or play a video game, watch some YouTube. So I might watch some videos about people getting revenge on bullies, or heroic dads saving the day, and make myself cry watching heroic dad videos, or something like that. And I'm wondering, you could let me know in the comments how you spend your time on YouTube. Like, what's your favourite genre? What's your favourite time sink, or your favourite rabbit hole? Your favourite thing to binge watch? Binge watching is when you keep watching one after another. You just can't really stop. It's kind of addictive. It's like being addicted to something. So, I mean, that's not always a negative meaning. It could be that you binge watch educational material, and hopefully people start binge listening or binge watching this podcast and getting lots of benefit from it. That would be really great. So my wife and I have decided that in order to get some work done, we actually have to wake up quite early in the morning. So after 2 months of enjoying having more sleep, I think it's necessary for us to wake up early, before the kids wake up, and spend some time together, maybe 2 or 3 hours if we're really lucky, to organise everything that we want to do. So we're planning to do lots of Instagram content, YouTube, lots of different things really. There are photographs that we need to take in order to have nice looking thumbnails for videos and reels. And a thumbnail, if you don't know, is like a cover photo. It's the photograph that you see before you click on the video. And there are scripts to write, designs to make, designs to create for attractive looking things that people want to click on and engage with. My wife has some ideas about making social media marketing for the Tofu Shop in order to really bring the Tofu Shop into the modern world and to share it with more people, because we're all really proud as a family of the quality of the product. We really believe in it. And the realities of business are that the cost of ingredients and gas, electricity, and oil for deep frying and things like that, the cost of things keeps going up. And it's always difficult to raise the price of a product because customers get upset when the price goes up, obviously. I don't think any customer really likes that. I never like it as a customer. So they're hoping to introduce more products like soy milk ice cream, which is a mix of soy milk and cow's milk, and they turn it into soft serve ice cream, and that's really tasty. I have tried it, even though I shouldn't really drink cow's milk because I can't digest it. So I've eaten it, and I kind of got away with it in a way. I felt okay, but I know that I shouldn't drink cow's milk really. I can't eat cow's cheese either, but I really like goat's cheese. I seem to be okay with goat's cheese. Another thing, if I think of mental health, is anxiety. And I think that anxiety comes from living in the future a lot, and also worrying a lot about how other people will think of me. Rather than focusing on work every day that I need to do to keep building towards the beautiful mountains of educational material that I've created myself to help people become fluent in English. So instead of focusing on individual little steps that I need to take every day to get towards that future, I'm already living in my head thinking about the future. And so anxiety is kind of related to a panicky feeling, or maybe it's like a fear about the future. And it can be quite hard to deal with sometimes. And it's quite common. It's quite common for people to feel anxious. So I learned a form of meditation called transcendental meditation. And it's a very long word to describe something which is very, very simple. It describes the idea of sitting quietly and saying a mantra. And a mantra is a single word, just a single word, any word, in any language, and it doesn't have to mean anything. It could be a word in a foreign language that you don't even speak. And so, in fact, the word that I learned is in Hindi, I think, although I don't actually know. But I think that transcendental meditation, or TM as it's called, I think that it comes from India, but I'm not even sure. The person that taught it to me learned it from an Indian man. That's all I know. And the basic process is to sit quietly in a chair with a straight back, relax, and just drop everything. Don't try too hard, but just drop all the tension and then focus on your breathing. And there are a few different breathing techniques that you can follow. But the most basic one is to just focus on the breath as it comes in and out of your nose. Close your mouth and then start to say the mantra in your mind. When I say my mantra, it's not always monotonous, which means that it sounds boring and repetitive. It doesn't sound boring in my mind. I say it in different ways, in different rhythms. I have a mental image in my mind of the word, and the image is changing and moving, and it's beautiful. The word sometimes twists and spins, and it's flying through space. But the most important thing is that it's just the word. I was asked not to ever share my word. You're not supposed to tell people your word, apparently. And so I see the word in English in Roman alphabet letters. I don't see the word in Sanskrit because I can't read Sanskrit. So I assume that there's a way of spelling it in Sanskrit, in Hindi, I guess. I don't even know if I'm using the right words to describe what language it comes from, because it doesn't matter. That's the point. It's just a word. I was taught that the most important thing is to say the mantra, and then, of course, we are thinking creatures. We have this active mind that never stops. So thoughts will come, any thought. It might be positive or negative or absolutely pointless. Sometimes, well, very often it's a thought that we don't even want. It doesn't really help us very much. It might even be something you really enjoy thinking about. But the key with any thought, when you sit in your chair and relax, drop all your tension, focus on your breath, the key is to just let thoughts come into your mind and then just let them go again. And you just watch it going through your mind, just passing by. You don't grab it. You don't think about the thought and then chase it down and try to work it out. It's an exercise in watching thoughts happen in your mind and just waving goodbye to it. Thanks for coming. See you then. And it's a practice. Obviously, that doesn't always go perfectly smoothly. There are times that I might sit down to meditate for 20 minutes and 15 minutes of that time is spent chasing a thought before I realize, oh, I'm supposed to say the mantra, and then the mantra comes back. So it's a practice. And so that process applies to both positive and negative thoughts. Often thoughts for me come when I think about the future. I project out into the future and think, what's it going to be like? How am I going to get there? And the real key, I think, is to live right now, because right now is the only moment in time that we can live. We can't actually live in the future. That's just in our mind. That was the big thing that I learned from TM, Transcendental Meditation. So it's a long word for a very, very simple process, a very simple technique. I found out that when I learned this technique, I managed to feel more grounded, more at peace. I learned it about 10 or 11 years ago when I was still in England, living on a farm, and when I still had lots of time, and when I still had lots of time to learn about wild plants and gardening and living a slower life. And I already felt quite at peace at that time. I felt very grounded anyway, but learning about TM helped even more. And what does it mean to be grounded? It means to feel good, to have your feet on the ground, to not be floaty. The opposite of grounded would be floaty, like you're flying in the air, or maybe you're being swept along in the wind, you're being swept along in the breeze. And that's part of the problem with anxiety, is the feeling of being floaty, like your feet are not on the ground anymore. You're just floating around in the wind, letting the wind take you. And you might think that thoughts are like the wind and they take you away somewhere. They float you away to a future that you might not want to be in. But to be grounded is to not let the wind, the breeze of thoughts take you away. It's to feel very connected to the present moment. That's my personal definition of grounded, and I quite like that. I've never had that thought before, and I guess I'm not the first person to have that thought, but I really like it. The idea of the wind being thoughts and picking you up and taking you away somewhere else. And I find that TM is a great way to learn not to be carried away by those type of thoughts. There is a phrase in English, to get carried away, to be carried away, to get carried away with something. And it's the same idea really. It's to be swept away, to be carried along by something, like you're surfing on a wave in a way. There are lots of different types of meditation, and I'm interested in learning more about them. I think that guided meditation could be really good. People say that they like the sound of my voice, and I enjoy speaking. I enjoy thinking and speaking out loud. It's just a reflection of the thoughts that we have and I certainly enjoy thinking. I love to go for a long walk, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and do nothing except think. So I had an idea to do some guided meditation podcasts as well. I think people would like that. So I suppose I'll do some more research on that and what that kind of thing is and how to do it. Maybe one morning I'll just wake up, grab my phone, press the little microphone button and just tell a story or describe a beautiful, relaxing scene. Like, someone told me a guided meditation one time of just lying on a beach, spreading out your arms, feeling the sand in your fingers, and hearing the sound of the waves crashing on the shore. And then I fell asleep. I don't know what happened next. I guess if anybody else stayed awake long enough, they would have heard Malcolm let out a big yawn, get ready for bed himself. But it was so relaxing for me that I just fell asleep within 2 minutes. I would love to do that kind of thing, and there's probably an infinite variety of relaxing scenes and situations that I could describe. The basic idea, I think, would be a place away from all the noise of humanity. Somewhere in nature, not too many people around, but maybe some people that you really love. Your closest 2 or 3, no more than 5 people, I would guess. It would be things like lying on a beach, walking through a forest, climbing a mountain, maybe sitting around a fire, cooking some food, someone's playing guitar, singing a song, telling a story. Maybe someone in the scene is trying to sleep as someone else is telling them a guided meditation. So there might be a guided meditation within the guided meditation. That sounds interesting to me. I'd like to pursue that idea. The idea of perfectionism has come up a couple of times recently, and I think that some people struggle with that, related to mental health and looking after ourselves. That is one of the things I think I've managed to deal with quite well. I'm very critical of the work that I do, and I'm always able to see things that I want to improve, but I'm also quite happy to make something and then release it, do the best job that I can, and then release it so that people can give me some feedback by commenting and letting me know, or simply by looking at the statistics of how many people watch it and how long they watch it for, as a way of letting me know, okay, that was a good one and this was a bad one. So I don't think that I really struggle with perfectionism too much, but it's still very difficult to make things that people would judge. People will have some thoughts about them, whether they're positive or negative. So as I'm dictating this now, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and it's time to go back home, which will take about 5 more minutes to get home, wake my wife, make her a coffee, and then turn on the computer. She'll want to wash her face and get ready for the day, drink a coffee, and then we'll do some work designing thumbnails, and that's exciting. And as I'm now reading this script to you, I can say that we did do that. I did wake her up. She had to feed the baby, but we did get some work done, and that was fantastic. So here's to keeping that habit going and starting to wake up much earlier. We managed to design a thumbnail for this video, actually. And so if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, I'd really appreciate if you would like it and make a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's something in particular that you really liked about it, and let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about next. That would be really helpful. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get some notifications every time I release a new video. And I'm hoping to do these videos at least once a week. The idea of going out just rambling and recording my voice on my phone and then coming back later in the day and recording it like this. I feel very excited by that. I think I'm going to really enjoy doing this, so I'm pretty confident I can commit to doing at least once a week. And so if you really like it and you want to support me, it's quite simple. Just like and comment and maybe share it with somebody that you think might enjoy listening to it as well. And so I want to thank you for listening again, and I hope that the rest of your day is full of joy and love, and as much as it can be. And I'll see you in the next one, I hope. Thanks again.